Dave and Lucy have been in business for a long time. They have a great business and a great team. After years of hard work, they wanted to increase their property portfolio with their dream home. But being self-employed, they found their bank's lending criteria very restrictive. They saw Toowoomba's Edge Lending, the business lending experts. Edge Lending thinks outside the box and were able to secure a facility for Dave and Lucy to purchase the property. Edge Lending, making business lending easier.
So today we're leaving Castelldefels and heading to Lloret de Mar. So we're on a massive journey today. So Crue's on the bus and we were told very strictly that we were not allowed to go on the bus. So we are leaving Castelldefels. We're leaving our Castell beach apartment. Look, it's been really lovely. I reckon handy to everything. We've been able to walk everywhere we need to get to. Food's right around the corner, every kind of food imaginable. The city centre's across the way. The train station, it's probably a little bit far today with 2 suitcases, so we're going to try and catch a taxi to the train station. And from there we catch a train into Barcelona Central, which is Barcelona Saints. And then from there we catch an hour-and-a-half train to a place called Blanes. And then from Blanes we'll catch a taxi to Lloret de Mar, which is about 20 minutes from what I can see. So we're going to bring you this journey. Hopefully it's not as bad as our trip to Ruby Centre to watch Crue's game, but it's going to be a couple of hours to get there. So we're going to see some nice sights, I'm hoping, on the train. There's lots of stops, so we'll be constantly stopping. So, and as always, my concern is toilets, but they do say there are toilets on the train. So let's see, and let's keep watching and see if we get to Lloret de Mar. See you soon, guys. So guys, I'm going to do a review on our train trip from Castelldefels to Lloret de Mar.
Ah, look. Here we go. Here's some Sangria. It's good, yeah?
Gracias.
Gracias.
So we got the train. So we got a taxi. We walked down to the taxi rank to get our taxi. We got a taxi to Castelldefels station. We bought our tickets, which was really, really easy today when we know how to do it. So single ticket, you tick lanes, and 2 tickets. So that all went well, except Scott put his PIN number in. So we cancelled out. They had to redo it. So finally we got on the train, which was still there. So we walked over to the platform, got on the train. We waited there a good probably 10 more minutes. Now that train's usually a 28-minute train trip from Castelldefels to Barcelona Saints, which is central. But we got to the second station, Gava, and we sat there for about 40 minutes. So obviously they were doing work on the line. From the gist of the conversation, the announcements that came over, some people were getting off, some people were staying on. We stayed on because we had all our luggage, of course. So eventually, probably 40 to 50 minutes sitting there, we finally got our way to Barcelona Saints. Got off the train, went up the escalator. At the top of the escalator was the toilet, so we quickly went to the toilet before boarding our hour and a half trip to Blaines. Then walked around to find the screen that says where we're going. It showed 9:10. I confirmed it with one of the conductors, and yes, it was 9:10. So went on down. But there's 2 trains coming at the same time on 9:10 platform. So it was just a waiting game of it'll either show up or we need to look for R1. So the other train was R4. But eventually it showed our train R1, platform 9, which we were on. So boarded that train. Look, really comfortable train. My issue was the toilet. Guess what? Toilet was right there. Lots of people used it. I never had to use it, so it was all good. But you know what? It reminded me of the train trip that we take to Fremantle in Western Australia. All along the beach. It's absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning beach coast, all the way on the train. And it took us a good hour and a half. I think it was about 28 stops. And we finally arrived in Blaines. And you know what? I'm glad we did it. It's cost us about a total of $60 Australian altogether, whereas a taxi, we would have been out on the highway and it was going to cost us about 250 Australian dollars. So sometimes it's about trial and error, and we had no errors today except for the waiting of the maintenance on the lines, but really lovely trip, comfortable train. We arrived in Blaines, basically walked out of Blaines to the taxis right there, hopped in a taxi and caught a taxi to the Lloret de Mar, to our Hotel Metropol. Beautiful coastal location. Looks like it's a place that the locals come to for getaways for weekends. It's fairly busy today, which is Sunday. Interesting though, when we checked in, the lady was quite shocked we're here for 9 nights. So obviously that's not a to-do thing, but our hotel is really, really lovely. I can't fault it. We've got ocean views from our veranda. It's not huge, but none of the hotel rooms are huge when we looked at them here. There's no kitchenette, so we've had to ask for wine glasses. But I'll bring you a review of our hotel at some point. But look, we've walked out tonight. We've headed down to a mum and dad looking local pretend pub restaurant for dinner that Scott's picked. And you all know Scott brings me to some really, really weird, out of the way places, but they usually turn out pretty damn good. So we're going to bring you a review. We've got our Sangria, we've got a Seafood Paella coming, and we've got some prawns. So we're going to try some prawns here. Let's see how they marry up to Australian prawns. So it'll be interesting. But you know what? Sometimes it's these little out of the way, not really pretty looking restaurants that bring you the good stuff. So interesting enough, they've got a ham sitting on the bar. So the good old hams, they slice a really thin slice that costs you a fortune, is sitting on the bar, and there's one hanging in here. So very authentic. A lot of locals in here. Old tables, old chairs, really old wine glasses. But you know what? Sometimes these are your best little finds when you're going into different locations. It's not the big glamour restaurants sometimes. So we did have lunch today, just in a little back street from our hotel. hotel. You know what? From our hotel, there's everything: shops, restaurants, ice creameries, bakeries, shops, and more shops. So really amazing central location. So, but today we just had a tapas. So €50 to share some tapas and some sangria. All the food here is fucking expensive. Like, holy shit. But we're in Europe, and sadly, when you look at it, you wonder if we're following behind them in Australia, because our food prices are going up. These guys are up there already. So maybe Scott and I are here to have a lesson of this is sometimes what we're going to be paying at home. Thank God we don't go to restaurants at home. So maybe we haven't realised the cost at home. So, but anyway, guys, we're going to bring you our dinner, and we're going to bring you some Lloret de Mar over the next few days. We're here for a long time, so hopefully lots of walking along the beautiful pristine beach, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Sue and Craig have equity in their home, plus some savings in the bank. They decided to buy a second property as a tenanted investment. They got advice from Toowoomba's Edge Lending, because Edge Lending are the experts in borrowing to buy investment property.